Welcome into the Beat Sessions. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. We are looking at the self-titled debut record from Mammoth WVH, which he released on June 11th. For those of you who have not been initiated, WVH stands for Wolfgang Van Halen. You may have heard that name before. What an incredible ride on this thing that we call life that this dude has had. Started playing bass in his father's band when he was 16 years of age. I mean, touring the world with Van Halen when you're a sophomore in high school. How can you not be the coolest kid at school? That's absolutely just mind-blowing. This kid was basically living the dream of anybody who's ever had rock and roll aspirations at a young age. But a very talented kid as well. Started off playing drums, moved into bass, guitar, multi-instrumentalist. He's played everything on this record, so that is just one of the many very cool things about this record. Mammoth, taking that moniker from the first name that Van Halen went by before they changed their name and really got big. So there's all these little things going on, and obviously this is a very personal record. Van Halen spent the last almost 6 years, probably let's call it 5 years, working on this record. Obviously playing his dad's band, played with the guitarist from Creed, Tremonti, I believe is that dude's last name. So he played in that band for a little bit. Has had a lot going on throughout his career, and it wasn't until really in the last decade that he had a chance to hone in on this, focus on this project. And this thing is a lot of fun. This is an album that you listen to and you can tell that this kid has just been paying attention to anything and everything that he has listened to coming up as a child. And it's just, it's on full display here. If you're hoping for an 80s style, kind of like Van Halen rockin' record, you're going to be disappointed. This is, Wolfgang is 30. He's fairly young, so he's a 90s kid, and you're getting a lot of that post-grunge feel in this record. And I know a lot of people are probably going to shake their head when I use that term. It's another one of those things. It's another one of those classifications that's become so pejorative. And listen, man, there's good and bad music in every genre. Now, granted, there's a lot of really bad music in the post-grunge genre, but it also inspired a lot of bands that I think are great. I mean, you can say that Bush is a Nirvana ripoff all you want, but I think that's bullshit. Pardon my French. I think Bush was a great band, just a solid alternative rock band. Was in no way trying to be grungy. Was in no way trying to mimic Kurt Cobain. It was some dude for Rolling Stone, I think, that wrote that. So, whatever. I completely dismiss that. I love Silverchair. There's so many good Stone Temple Pilots, and that's the thing about it too, is this post-grunge term is so loose. You can incorporate any number of bands for whatever reason if you wanted to. The point here is that this album is going to sound pretty much like all the alternative / hard rock / maybe like a little bit of metal. There's very little, but mostly alternative rock and hard rock from the last let's call 2.5 decades. And it's a lot of fun to listen to. I think if he continues to make albums like this, he'll probably get that criticism of resting on the shoulders of giants that came before him. And I think that's kind of BS anyway. You take your inspiration, you do your thing, whatever. And what I will say is that for all those bad post-grunge bands that I hear on this record, he takes that sound and makes it good. To me, anyway. I'm not a huge fan of a band like Avenged Sevenfold, but I hear elements of their music and their style incorporated into his stuff, and I love it. But everything's going on here. Stone Temple Pilots, Deftones, Silverchair, Queens of the Stone Age. There's a little bit of Tool here. If it came out in the last 25 years and you've heard it on rock radio, it's probably inspired this record, which as a 90s kid is why I'm loving it. Getting into the track list. Mr. Ed is the opening track. It's probably the only song that's going to have, I guess, that kind of Van Halen feel. And believe it or not, Mr. Ed is not a reference to his father. It's, the song's not about his dad. The title might be a reference to his dad, but the song's not about him. He talks about how it just, was the title that was going on during demos. It stuck. And really a phenomenal song. And, if it's not directly about his dad, it certainly makes, a nice homage and a great album opener. I could argue that. I really love the song. I think it's a great way to open up this project. Horribly Right Start getting into that like hard rock and alt style, a little bit of STP, big verses and big chorus. I'm really digging his voice. It's very solid vocals, but the hooks, man, he's got a lot of potential as a songwriter, and that's one of the things that I'm really excited about as far as what he's doing. He has a nice pop sensibility, which is on a display here a little bit. Shows that off on the last track, Distance, which was a single that came out, I believe, right after his father passed away, which he, received criticism for. Piss on that. That's stupid. Like, good for you for writing whatever type of music you want to write, Wolfgang. You're dope, bro. You're very talented. Lots of cool solos. The song Epiphany, third track, is just got this really dope bass riff to kick into it. Big alt rock feel again on that record. And another example of, like, I hate to say it, but I felt like I heard a little bit of a band like Papa Roach, band that I just don't particularly care for, but a sound that he's just making work within his style, and I think that's what makes him so rad. This album in particular as well. Don't Back Down, heavy chugging riffs and drums. It's just got this like kind of like Marilyn Manson type of like Beautiful People feel during the verses, and then this Queens of the Stone Age big type of rock and chorus. Fifth track, Resolve, you start getting that Soundgarden feel. Great solo work from him there. Song Mammoth, channeling Foo Fighters a little bit. A lot of people talking about the song Circles. It's a great track. Nice acoustic song, kind of like this semi-ballad, but it's pretty rocking still. I would say Distance, honestly, is probably the biggest ballad on this thing if we're gonna coin a song that. But really shows off his strengths and his skills on guitar. Once again, I'm so just tickled by how phenomenal he is on every single instrument on this record. He is just such a freaking talented dude. Think It Over's got this, kind of like post-punk feel with the intro, and then kind of like an upbeat, it feels like a disservice to call it pop punk, but there's elements of it there, and I can feel it. And that's that pop sensibility that's on display that I was talking about that, really love it. The song Stone I did because it sounds like the Deftones, kind of just channeling that angsty, kind of like, call it metal a little bit if you want to a little bit, but it's there. I was digging it for that reason. This whole record is just a ton of fun. If you're a 90s kid, if you grew up listening to all that stuff, and if you're a Van Halen fan, especially, like, I mean, I'm not saying all Van Halen fans are going to love this, but 90s kid, Van Halen fan, this is a recipe for success. I think you will really like this record. I'm going to vinyl please it. Hope you find this review helpful. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out the live show on Sunday nights, and we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.